stage. Our speaker tonight is Dean Pavlic. Dean Pavlic is the only agent in all of FFL that hit a dual Hall of Fame, which means he hit Hall of Fame in life. So that means he did over $400,000 in insurance. And then he also hit Hall of Fame in annuities. So I think Dean tonight is going to go over mortgage protection sales and then finding annuities. Dean still runs in the field, and the last 2 years he hit Hall of Fame, and he's still been in the field. You know, most of the companies transitioned over to telesales, but he's still out there running and making it happen, and he's still doing it with mortgage protection. A lot of people think that mortgage protection died, but what Dean did was he went out and found a company, Hall of Fame Leads, that is dropping mail. It has people then call into a phone number, and he's then taking those leads, calling them, booking them, and still running and making sales. But even with what he's doing, he still wants to get better. So I saw him put in a request for the CRM and then put in a request for IUL leads, because although he absolutely crushed it this year, he's still not happy with it and wants to do over $1 million in 2024. You know, a lot of people get kind of complacent where they are. They would do 700,000 a couple of years in a row and think they figured things out, but not Dean. He wants to make a change and get better and show other people how to do the same, because he's also building a team. So Dean, you there, bud?
I am here, loud and clear. How you guys doing?
Fantastic, man. The floor is yours. You can train on anything that you think can help everyone on this call get better, man. We're all ears.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on and pouring to you guys tonight. Before I start, I got to talk a little bit about keyword decision making. Okay. 6 years ago, I joined FFL, and I had a decision to make. And that decision was, how do I get to annual convention with no money in my pocket? And when I figured out how to get there, I didn't have any excuses. I tried making excuses, and I had maybe $500 in my pocket to my entire name, everything that I owned, with a repossessed car. I've shared this story numerous times, and I have to talk about it over and over because too many people let emotions get in the way and they make excuses of not making the decision to change their life. And when I did, I took a chance at something that I completely didn't believe in. I thought this business was a scam. I thought this business was another multi-level marketing business that you have to push products. This person buys an energy drink, that person buys, supplement. It's completely opposite. But the decision I made was I hopped on a flight, scared out of my mind. I never had anxiety until the day I was flying from Virginia to Dallas. And halfway through, I wanted to come back and rent a car and drive back to Virginia because I did not want to go. I was at the Atlanta airport, and I never, for those of you guys who travel through the Atlanta airport, it's the biggest airport in the entire world. I didn't realize they had trains from one terminal to the other. I literally paced, sweat dripping down my face. And the whole time I had my phone in my hand, and I was looking at my bank account with like $400, and the numbers were ticking down. And I talked to a few people. First, but if one of them was my fiance Shauna, the other one was my dad, and they both told me, you got to do this, you're going to be great at it. That's all I needed to hear. When I went to Dallas, at first I hesitated to be a part of it, because I was like, God, here we go, another one of those meetings I don't want to be a part of. I'm scared. But as Shawn Mike came out and some other people came out, and I watched people talk about the reality of where they were and where they're at now because of the change, because of a decision, I'm like, I can do this. And Hall of Fame at that time was a pretty big deal. It was probably one of the biggest deals that ever existed, because for somebody doing 400K in a year, that's a lot of volume. And we only had maybe, I don't know, half full of agents do it. There wasn't many. And I looked, I was like, I never compared myself to doing Hall of Fame numbers. I just wanted to learn how to pay my bills. That's all I cared about. How can I survive this month to go into the next month? But I knew if I started making excuses, I will never get there, no matter what obstacle was thrown at me. I came back, ran aged mortgage leads, because we didn't have final expense leads back in the beginning of 2018. And as many, veteran agents know, Mike, Jamie, you guys know this better than I do. There was mortgage leads. They were all locked out. I was lucky enough to have a handful of them to work. And I talked to many friends and family that I had in my network and let them know what I did for a living. So that decision was all based off annual convention. And I want to start there because we have it coming up in 3 weeks. And a lot of you guys that I've talked to a lot have made excuses that you don't want to go, but you want to be a part of something. How can you be part of something that requires you to grow your business, to scale your income, but you don't want to go because either you're afraid or you're making a decision based on the finances you don't have? It's a decision to get better. The only way that you will fail at accomplishing by going there and then coming back and not doing anything at all, that's a decision that you're making. Again, decision. Keyword is decision. We're going to talk about decision a lot because decision is what brings you to reality, to the world. Who you hang out with, who you talk to, who you ask questions from, who you surround yourself with. It's all based on decision. You have to understand what's at stake here when it comes to going to an event that you have, I don't know, over 120 speakers. 120. God, 2018, there was like maybe 10, 15 total with like 800 people in attendance. And it was yet the most powerful thing I've ever been to. And I've never missed a convention since then. But that decision changed my projection to where I'm at now. I started as a field agent. I am to this day a field agent. I will not let that go because I enjoy getting out there and meeting with people. And if you plan on doing it that way, just understand that you have to do proper research, what area you are in, what the population is, what kind of leads they have. Otherwise, you will run a vicious roller coaster cycle and you will kill yourself emotionally. But you have to do the research on what it takes to get there. In 2019, I missed Hall of Fame. It was my goal, but I missed it because I decided that I made more money than I did and I wanted to enjoy life a little bit more. And I traveled. We traveled a lot. We took a lot of trips, took some time off. It was cozy. It was comfortable. It was fun. And then when I went to Connecticut to talk to Shaw Mike, we did a podcast, which unfortunately has been taken down due to the compliance reasons. He told me he's like, you got to hit Hall of Fame at least once. Just do it for yourself. Hit it once. Work your tail off and hit it once. I was like, you know what? He's right. I'm going to hit it in 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID hit. I was still running face to face. I did not stop. I did not care. A lot of people went virtual. They had a hard time. I said, you know what? Screw this. If somebody wants me to sit 6 feet away from them at their house, so be it. If they want to sit in the rain outside, so be it. If they want me to put 10 masks on, so be it. I made no excuse. I made a decision to go out there and continue doing what we were doing. And by the grace of God, I hit higher numbers than I ever have because I just put the time in. I didn't make any excuse. I didn't let an economical change affect me. I moved to a different state from Virginia to Florida halfway through the year. I had no idea where I was at. We had no friends down there. We just wanted to move because it was fun. We had money. We could work wherever we wanted to. It was great. But it was based on a decision. And I did Hall of Fame. That was my first year. And then when I hit Hall of Fame and I saw some people hitting numbers at a higher level, like, I don't know, 600, 700, 800K, I'm like, man, this is not exciting anymore because there's always somebody that's going to set the bar. Every year I look at the performance leaderboard and I see people setting the bar like Giordano and Shadi and some of these other names that I've never heard before. They're setting the bar. And fast forward to today, it's kind of like I'm humbled to be able to hit Hall of Fame in both ends because number one, I'm the only guy that did it. And I went to, when we were on the cruise, I went to Brad Allen because Brad Allen was really close to it. And I was like, Brad, I just hit Hall of Fame on both ends. You got to catch up. because his goal was just the annuity side, and we were just joking. But the cool part about doing something that nobody has done yet, even though it's kind of like a newer thing here in FFL's beginning of 2023, is I told myself in the beginning of the year, I want to hit Hall of Fame on both ends, because I talked it into existence. I spoke it. I believed it. I envisioned it. I did it. And I'm going to give you guys the pathway how to get it on both ends. It's not hard, as many people think as it is. It's just a matter of having a proper schedule, having phenomenal consistency. You can't do it half-assed. I hate to tell you. You can't just think, today sucked. I got nobody on the phone. Tomorrow's even worse. The third day, it still sucks. The fourth day, you want to quit. You can't get goals when you have that mindset. We all have. I was telling some of my agents I work with, I'm like, I don't have perfect days. I don't have perfect weeks. Heck, I don't even have perfect months. December was probably arguably one of my lowest months for the entire year. Not even 30K on the books in a whole month. And usually I do 60, 70, 80, close to 90. And there's times that are going to be like that. But you have to understand what it is that you need to continuously do to get ahead. You will be challenged. It's going to be hard. Jamie, how many Hall of Fame producers do we have in the group? I know we have Jesse. I know we got, is it Depot? Did Depot hit it too? I believe. Yeah, Depot. We got what? A handful of Hall of Fame producers. Ask any of them.
It's probably 10 to 12.
10 to, wow. Okay. I thought it was a little bit less, but even better. But ask any of them what it is that they're doing on a single daily basis, on a weekly and a monthly basis to get to that goal that they strive for. I'm not saying you got to work your entire life off for the next 30 years. Hey, it's short term till you build this thing if you want to build it, but don't slow down on a momentum, whether it's good or bad. I thrive on the bad. I love the bad days, because guess what? I come back a little bit angry. I'm like, ooh, today sucked. Let's see how tomorrow goes. Tomorrow didn't go as planned, but you know what? I always kept a good, positive attitude. I always told myself it's a great day. I'm alive and well. I get to help somebody today. Whether I talk to them and they buy, or whether I talk to them and they don't buy, I had a conversation with somebody, and I'm most likely educated them on a consumer base what life insurance will do for them. And I do that. I don't leave crappy rapport. Like some agents would not even leave a business card. I'm like, it's like 1 cent. Like, leave a business card. You know how many people call me back? Quite a bit actually this past year. Like 2-3 months later, asking for a policy because of the value that you bring when you present something. So the roadmap starts with your schedule. Like, you can't yo-yo it. You cannot yo-yo it. Whether you're doing it in person or whether you're doing it in telesales, you have to dedicate a time frame for what's going to be your work hours. Like, if you decide, hey, you know what, who was it that we had on a call, Mike, a couple of weeks ago? They said they don't start work until like 10, 11 in the morning. I love that, because you create that schedule. But they don't stop until 7, 8 o'clock at night. That's a 9, 10 hour, 12-hour shift sometimes. The phones are hammered. There's a lot of no's. Most of you guys do telesales. I bet you if I asked everybody individually how many no's you get a day, probably a ton. Ask Jesse how many no's he gets. Probably a ton. We don't sell everybody. We don't close everybody. But we do have conversations with a lot of people, and it all depends how you present your approach and what value can you get out of them to present to you, so you can bring that value back to them in a much more meaningful way. So you got to have a schedule. If you want to work 5 days a week, create that 5 days and don't stop. If you want to work 7 days a week, by all means, have at it. I need my Sundays off. Lead flow. This is probably the utmost important thing about this business. 6 years ago, we didn't have leads. If we had, oh my goodness gracious, where would we be? Jamie, you were around that time. I was here when I started. Imagine if we had proper leads in 2017, 2018. Whew. It would be a different ballgame going into this now, when a lot of you guys are coming on board. But leads, you definitely need. Here's my lead investment every single week. almost 2,500 a week. Who can swallow 2,500 a week comfortably every week, except Jesse and Deepo? Anybody in here?
That's like regular lead spend if you want to do big numbers.
Yeah. So close to 12,000 a month is what goes out in lead cost. It's automated. I don't pay attention to it. It comes out every Wednesday. I'm like, okay, cool. There goes another 2,400 bucks. Got to work. It's automated. When it's automated, you have to work. If you have it on like, oh, you know what? I'll buy leads when I feel like it. I will buy leads this week. I'm going to work them for the next 14, 15 days, and I'll see where it goes. And then by the time you get to your third week, you don't buy leads because you didn't make any money. Like, what the heck? 6 years straight, my leads have been automated. 6 years running automated leads non-stop like clockwork. No exception. The only difference is I kept increasing my lead flow as time went on. I started with like 1,000. Then I started with like 1,200, 14, 15. Like, if you dip your toe, your success is a no, right? So, you know, when you go in a pool and at first you're like, oh my God, it's cold. But when you dive in, it's like, whew, your body adapts to the weight. I mean, to the temperature, not the weight, excuse me, to the temperature of the water, to your body. That's how you have to think about when you dump money into leads, but on a weekly basis without overthinking it. 12K comes out every month total. But in reality, I'm only paying 2,500 every week. And it's 2,500 for the whole year. And a lot of you guys are, what do you mean? Well, if I invest 2,500 and I sell 2 policies, I make my money back. I'm reinvesting that same 2,500. It's never 12 grand. I can write off 12 grand, but it's always 2,500 every month for the rest of the year. 2,500 bucks. That's how you have to think. That's how you have to process that thought. And then when you get that coming in, hitting your leads, and your emails start blasting, oh, new lead, like, you got to go to work. If you can't prepare yourself for that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to sound like, annoying and arrogant, but some of you guys are not going to make it like that. I just hate to tell you. If you want big goals, if you're doing it on a part-time basis and you turn it on and off when you feel like, by all means, go for it. But if you're doing this as your only source of income, you got to structure it like that. There's no other way. I hate to tell you, there is no other way. I've tried them all. I failed at a lot of them until I started doing what people were doing. And I just duplicated the process of what everybody else was doing. And now I actually dove in. I spent another, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 bucks with the CRM the other day to start that, test the waters into that. So I can do a hybrid approach. So I can spend 2 days doing calls like those. And then the rest I'm going to do in the field still. I'm not going to give that up. The third and foremost thing is stop counting dollars. Too many of you guys, I got to make 5 grand this month. I got to make 5 grand. I got to make 5 grand. I can't pay the bills. I got to make 5 grand. No, how about you write 5 policies and then you don't worry about the money because it could be more than 5 grand. I always was taught from day one by multiple, mentors in the past, count your applications, not the money. One app will pay you back your lead investment. The second app will probably save you for the next week's lead investment. The third app will start paying your bills and so forth. How many apps can we get by the end of the week? If your goal is to have 5,000, why don't we just focus on minimum 5 apps? Drop that minimum. If you're not making minimum, fire yourself. Just fire yourself because you're not working. You're not working hard. I mean, Mike just went over the top 12, 10K and above for the week. We have 173 on you, 170. I'll count 160 outside of us top performers and managers. Man, we should be doing everybody should be doing 10K. That's like nothing. That's literally 3 apps a week. Minimum 3 weeks a week, 3 apps a week. That's what? 12 apps a month. That's easily 10K on a monthly basis. Not even talking about a weekly. If you want to do weekly, then you know what you got to do. You got to double down on the activity. So understand that if you stop chasing, or when you stop chasing the dollar amount and start chasing applications, your life will change. That's what I did. 6 years running now. I do it every single time. Ooh, I got to get another app in. I got to get another app in. And lastly, before I start giving you my process on how I find annuities and then what I do, and give yourself positive affirmations every day. Whether it's calling somebody and saying, oh man, I hope this person picks up. I hope, like, get rid of that word hope. Hope is for the weak. Like, just say, hey, this person's going to pick up and I'm going to help them today. Who cares if they pick up or not? Okay, they didn't pick up, no big deal. I'm going to go to the next one. Or if you're running, field appointments, this person's going to be home. I'm going to help them. And then no show, no big deal. I'll go to the next one. And then I'll circle back to the last one that no show me. I'll see if they're home a couple hours later. It's just process. But give yourself positive affirmations on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, get rid of the word try. I'm going to try to. I'll try to be there. No, how about you are there? Just be there. Just be present in the moment. Be present for yourself so that you can be present for your family. If you're not present for yourself, you will never be present for your family. I hate to tell you like that. It's just going to fail on you. It's just going to crumble. I know there's some individuals that have a, tough time outside of work related stuff. And I get it. But if you can't maintain a business environment and then lead it into your personal, it's all going to mix itself up. I had a couple of people like, yeah, I'm going to get a part-time job. I mean, I'm going to get a full-time job until I can get afloat. And I'm like, what? You were doing this for 3 months full-time. Why? What happened? Did you do this? What happened? What can we do to help you? And it saddens me that people think that way, because I know, Jamie, you said a little bit earlier ago, you wanted to quit this. I've never in 6 years wanted to quit FFL. Not once has it crossed my mind, I'm going to quit this job. I've thought about diversifying my money a little bit and building another business maybe, but I never thought about quitting this. Not once has it crossed my mind in 6 years. No matter how crappy weeks and months and times I've had, the chargebacks, the roll-ups, I never wanted to quit. Last year I had a guy roll me 25K almost. Did I quit? No, I had a Hall of Fame. Like, if you're quitting, you're weak. I hate to tell you, I'm gonna tell you as it is, but you're mentally and weak internally because you let emotions take over your life. It's not that deep. It's process. It's a decision that you decided to make to quit on yourself. When Shawn Mike was at the Maryland meeting earlier this past year, he talked about debt. Having business debt can be good at times because it's just going to force you to work a little bit harder and get to where you want to be. I agree with them 100,000,000%. I'm still paying off that agent's debt to this day because it's in a secondary account being, taken, brought down over time. There's a lot of things that you pay for, but I'll take it because it's just going to help me get better in the business. It's going to develop a stronger mindset and being able to find a solution to the problem. And it's only a short-lived problem. It's not forever. But don't quit on yourself. Talk to people. Talk to the people that are doing it. Talk to people that went through it. We all have experienced some kind of, I don't know, situation in our lives that will tell us otherwise. But I never stopped. I never wanted to quit the business because I loved it. I knew what it could do for me. So with that out of the way, there's a lot of annuity money out there, guys, that is being missed. And it's a handful of it. And it's really not that hard to find it. Who uses the financial worksheet? Like, be honest. Like, everybody's hands should be up. Golly, not just the 5 or 6 or 7 of y'all. I mean, there's multiple screens on you, but if you're not using the perfect tool that was created for success, you're going to miss money along the way. And the financial inventory sheet is kind of like a golden ticket because it's going to tell you everything about the individual that you're either talking to or sitting in front of. When I sit with folks, I already have it pulled out, and you should too if you're doing it over the phone or Zoom. You should already have it ready for the next meeting. And the first thing I do is, as I'm talking to them, I don't build any type of rapport. I don't care about that, because when I did in the very beginning, I knew that I was making friends and not a client. And when you start making friends, they never buy from you, and then it becomes an endless headache, and you have to chase them, and they still never buy from you. So I stopped building rapport. Oh, what's your favorite football team? Oh, what do you like to go to eat? Like I stopped doing all that, because it's irrelevant. When you're talking to somebody or you're sitting in front of somebody, they want to know three things. Is this going to pay a claim? How much is it going to cost me? And how fast is it going to pay? That's it. Or make sure that you're not a scam artist. That's all they care about. How is this going to help the person that they care about the most, whether it's the kids, their spouses, their siblings, their whatever. So I talk to them first about finding out what their why is. Hey, Jamie, when you sent the request in, could you tell me a little bit about who were you thinking about the most when you sent it in, and what does that look like for them now without having any coverage, or maybe having some coverage in place? Notice I'm assuming they have something or they don't have anything, because I want her to tell me the story on what went through their mind. Because nobody wakes up any morning and says, today's a great day to buy life insurance. Nobody does that. It's not a fun thing for people to look at, consider, even like to even talk about. How do you look at and submit a request in for? It's based on an emotional need, not a want, it's a need. So remember that. That's why you always have to be assumptive that they either have nothing or either have something, so that we can look at it together. Well, I wanted to make sure my kids were taken care of in case I don't wake up tomorrow. Okay, no problem. Do you have something where you keep all of your policies and stuff, or you a secret stash or a secret box or anything, you put all your personal things in there so your kids can find that sort of thing? Yeah, I have like a safe or whatever. Okay. And is it safe to say that if your daughter and son walked in there tomorrow and looked for a life insurance policy, are they going to find something or not at all? No, that they're not going to find anything in there. There's nothing there. I don't have any coverage. Okay, well, before I hang up the phone, before I leave today, we're going to make sure there's a policy here, okay? I'm leading them along the way. And then I'm going to let them know what my process looks like, because I need to eliminate all of the objections before I even get to the application. That is one mistake a lot of brand new agents make. They get so excited, they start filling out the app. Hey, what's your bank account? Well, I don't know. I don't want to give you that, because you didn't build value. You didn't build their trust. You have to do it in proper steps. Jamie, here's my process. Here's how I can help you today, okay? I'm going to spend a couple of minutes analyzing your financials, okay? I need to evaluate all of the losses when you die, so that I know what's left to your family and what income will stay, what income will go, and vice versa, okay? The second step, Jamie, is I need to evaluate your medical history, conditions, and medications, past and present. It's very important, because we don't have a nurse come out to do any sort of blood or urine on you, but we are required. That's why we have to carry a state regulated license to be able to go into depth and detail of your history of your health and conditions, so that I can make the best recommendation based on my experience, that I know what's potentially going to approve you through one of my top performing partners that I have out of the insurance companies. Great, perfect. And then I'm going to spend a couple more minutes asking you about your beneficiary and some referrals that they may or may not have, okay? Fair enough? Boom, we go right into it. Do you have any questions about this process? And then once you decide, once we find something for you, skip this part, excuse me. Once we find something that's going to qualify, we're going to submit a request over to the carrier. Just like if you were to fill out a, somewhere else at the DME, they're going to ask you for your social and how you're going to pay for the insurance policy, checking a savings account. They will know that information up front. Do you have any questions about the process on what this looks like? And I zip it. I don't say anything else, because the first person that talks loses. That's sales 101. Nope, I have no questions about the process. Perfect. I eliminated all of the objections. I go into the financial worksheet. Now, on the bottom in the middle, there's a little tab that says 401k, TSP, IRA, mutual funds, whatever. Here's my approach, guys. It's very simple. Jamie, in case, now I know you don't have any life insurance currently, but do you have anything else financially that can be liquidated to offset your final expenses or offset the mortgage balance in case you died? Yeah, I have a 401k. Okay, are you currently participating in it? And is the employer matching you, or is it something that's just sitting there and you haven't really looked at it in a while? Oh, it's been sitting around for a while. So when was the last time somebody did a financial review with that? When was the last time someone did a financial review with you on your 401k? 9 out of 10 times, oh, they haven't done one at all. Have you looked at it? Do you have a statement? No, but I can pull it up. They go in their little computer, pull on their phone. And I take a page out of David Pyle's book and I look at the statement like, ooh, that looks rough. You lost quite a bit of money there. What was your goal with the 401k? Like, what did you want to do initially with that? Well, I wanted to make sure it stayed for my retirement and build a little bit of extra change as I got older. Okay. So we'll set that on the side. I definitely want to talk to you about that before we leave. I'm going to go back to the life insurance. I'm going to finalize the life insurance, get them qualified, approved, whatever the case is. And then I'm going to go back and revert to the 401k. Now, Jamie, Frank is in charge of SRS. Please correct me, but is this still available? Can they still order these?
I'm not sure about ordering them, but they are still available as a PDF. So even if they can't order them through the website, the PDF is available on the website, and they can have some printed off at Office Depot themselves. But
Perfect.
yes, it is available.
So I ordered these. I still have a bunch left, and it's really cool because they can customize it like with your picture and your phone number and all that in the back. But this talks about fixed index annuities, and I pulled this out before I leave. And I talked to Jamie. Hey, Jamie, remember that 401k that you mentioned that's just sitting there? I'm going to show you something that's going to act as additional legacy to your family. That's going to avoid all of the probate when you die. But most importantly, it's going to save your money for the rest of your life without ever losing it on the market. This is what that looks like. And I pulled this pamphlet out. This is such a great tool. But if you're doing it over telesales, you can email it and have them look over it with you. It talks about eliminating fees, tax deferred, the rating of the company, guarantee income. What else? Probate. It avoids all probate. That's one of the most important things. So if you're talking to people about their money, if you're talking to people about their mortgages, please get familiar with probate in your state. And I always ask the individual, if you're working with a couple, for example, that has a mortgage, that has an active mortgage, hey, are you both on the house together on the loan, or is it just the husband or the wife? Oh, it's just the husband. He's the one on the house. Are you on the deed, Miss Johnson? No, I'm not on the deed. Well, it's very important that we figure out how to get you on the deed. Otherwise, you could go into probate and all the assets can become frozen until you have enough money to pay for it. Hence, mortgage protection. It can wipe all that off. So, but this here, because it acts like a life insurance policy at the end of the day to a death benefit, it avoids all the probate. But asking golden questions on the financial worksheet will discover all of the little details that are hidden that nobody talks about because we're so afraid to ask questions about their finances. When was the last time somebody reviewed your financial inventory with you, like your statements and for your retirement? And what else do you have that can act like life insurance to offset final expense costs or offset your mortgage balance or be able to transfer legacy to your family in case of your death? Those are the three things I ask. And I run on a lot of annuity money, guys. I actually have currently pending 1.4 million to work. Wow. Like, it's not hard. But it's a lot of missteps. I know in telesales, you're already spending probably a lot more time with people on the phone that you used to in person. So you kind of want to go to the next one. I get it, but I guarantee you, if you find a few more of these every month through your telesales appointments, it's going to be so much easier when you process it. And honestly, I would recommend doing a Zoom with your clients and something like this so they can see you. Dress something a little bit more appropriate, not just a t-shirt or something. So you look professional and presentable. And talk to them about this. You know, talk to the SRS, ask a specialist for an illustration. Heck, you can ask me, I'll help you with it. I don't care. if you have, a potential annuity client. It's a great way to make extra income, but also you can now run Hall of Fame 2 times in 1 year. I think it's such a great challenge for everybody. I'm surprised not many people hit it this year at all, considering there's a lot of top producers. Steve G was all life, 1.5, 1.6 million, not a single annuity in the mix. I'm like, dude, I texted him. I was like, bro, you got to do some annuities. You'd be doing like 3 million a year. He's like, I know, I got to get back to them because it's not hard. It's just a misstep. And
Dean, I have a
anybody,
question for you. How long were you here before you wrote your first annuity?
dude, my first month in 2018, I found my first annuity.
Got it. And when you started writing annuities and adding that to your business, what did that do for you income wise?
So I treated it like a bonus, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it paid when it paid, but I didn't let it go. So when it got paid, I still didn't stop running my regular life schedule, life insurance. I just treat it as an extra bonusable payout. 50% always went back into the business account. The other, I just did whatever I wanted with it. We went on trips, we did, certain things like that. It really changed the course of how I lived my life. And this was back in 2018, mind you. I had 2 really strong annuities back then. I did a little over $1 million combined in my first year. And I had no idea what I was doing. All I did was I called my upline. I was like, hey, can you talk to this person? They have some money they want to shuffle around. Because I asked that question because I was taught from way back in the day to ask the golden question. And it's hence based on the financial inventory sheet. I still use those sheets. I have them in my binder every day. I know I have it memorized, but I still use a sheet because it creates structure. You look more of a professional when you have structure and when you start asking those questions.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a brand new agent coming into the business today, like anybody who's brand new, like ask, what's the worst thing you say? Well, I got nothing. Okay, no big deal. Move on. Finish what you're there for. But if they say, well, I got a little bit of a 401k or whatever, find out if they're still contributing to it. I'm gonna give you guys a secret for IULs too while we're on that topic. If an employer matches them 5%, but they're putting in 10, show them how to allocate that extra 5% into an IUL, especially if they're healthy. You already discover budget. We used to write a ton of like advanced IULs in the beginning, Mike, like with Global Atlantic.
Yeah.
Way before the simplified issue stuff, because we found money from what they were putting in their 401k extra because the market was doing really good. I'm like, but if they don't make that 10%, you're losing the other 5. You know that, right? If they don't match you, I mean, yeah. So what if I showed you how to move that extra 500 over here? Now you have diversification on your retirement. And by the way, one's tax deferred. Oh, I never thought about it like that. Perfect. I'll be back in a couple of days. I'll bring you the illustration. And I would draw up an illustration of like 350, 400K life insurance with a target premium of 500 with an option to overfund it and retro contribute. Does anybody know what retro contribution is?
What is it called?
Retro contribution. No one knows?
You go back for the prior year to contribute.
Perfect. So there's certain IULs that allow you to go back in time as many years as you can to overfund them to be able to get caught up with your retirement. For example, if you get a tax return for somebody who gets a tax return, let's say they get $5,000, but they want to move $3,000, they just call the IUL company, say, hey, I want to overfund my IUL for the previous year. What does that look like? And they just write them a check and send it and they fund it. Now the compound interest for the following years is even higher. It's genius. I leveraged that so much in the beginning, Mike, in my first couple of years, to the point where I learned. And I had no choice but to learn it because I was talking about it. And I was more intrigued about the business. See, the thing about a lot of you new guys is a lot of you guys don't do any research on the products that we have. And this is an honest truth. A lot of you guys, I'm done. I'm gonna watch TV. I'm gonna sit back. I literally had pamphlets. I went to every insurance company that we have and I ordered all the booklets from American Mutual, Global, Athene. I had boxes of marketing material sitting in my office at home because I studied the products. Because if I become a master of my craft, I can excel in this business even higher. And I did. I learned all about the CBO 100. I learned about IULs. I learned about the annuities, what they do, how they work. And you can't write annuities if you don't pass their training. So there's a lot of amazing things that you guys can do on your downtime, but you guys are quick to give up that downtime for other things that are non-productive to make you better and get you more money in your pockets.
Hey, Dean, we have a question before we wrap up here. Kamal's asking, do you ever use F&G over Athene? And what company do you like for annuities?
My business is pretty much 99.9% Athene. With the exception with this past year, I wrote a couple of them with Nassau Financial Group. The only reason I wrote it with Nassau because they have a higher bonus for somebody at that age group, because the guy was 78 and they offered a higher performance bonus with a really good strategy in a safe way. So I talked to them and they educated me, and then I was able to write one qualified annuity, which actually funded while we were on a cruise. That was pretty cool. That crossed me to Hall of Fame. And I just funded another one of 77,000, which was a non-qualified, which came from a CD account from Fidelity Investments.
And here's another question from Sean. Do you look at any in-service distributions over 59.5?
As far as
Like rollovers, like when someone's still working, I guess.
Yes. So I asked them, great question. So I asked people if they're working, if they're like 59.5, I asked them if they're 100% vested in their 401ks. 99% of them are. They say, yep, I'm 100% vested. Perfect. Now's the time to diversify some of your spread so that by the time you retire, you can develop two income strategies, and one's going to safeguard half of it and prevent losses, and you won't pay any money management fees during that time frame, and you don't have to touch it until you're at least 72 or 75 for the required minimal distributions. Also, familiarize yourself with RMDs, how they work, what they are. It's required minimal distribution that the IRS imposes on people who have not touched their retirement, and they just want to charge you taxes on non-taxable money. That's why it's called a qualified fund. And understand the difference between qualified and non-qualified. See, these are maybe complex terminologies, but they're very, very simple to understand.
Do you have one more question here before we wrap up? Do you, what product do you write more of with Athene? Do you see yourself doing more Performance Elite, or are you doing one of the income annuities more than the other?
So I'm always been a Performance Elite guy because the strategy diversification in them is really like top notch, because you can really help people grow the money exponentially. The only time you can do one of the income ones is if somebody wants to invest a huge chunk of money with you, but they want to touch it in a very short time frame as an income percentage.
That's right.
When you do the performance, you actually have two strategy allocations. You can do one that's regular and one with a charge up. The charge up takes like a small percentage from their portfolio and allows them to get more return participation on their money. Essentially, the compound can be over 30% high if it grows, which is ridiculous. And the numbers can look really stupid by the time like 25 years go by. Like you're talking 7-8 digit retirement fund, which they can never run out of money if they use it the right way. And all that money is avoidable with no probate at the end of their lifetime.
One last question before we wrap up, Dean. What do you do 100% mortgage protection? Do you add any final expense into that?
I haven't done final expense in over 2.5 years.
But when you started, you were doing final expense. Is that correct? And then
yes. So when I first started, I worked whatever on mortgage leads I was given, and then thankfully in March of 2018 they released Facebook final expense, and these are like the most generic final expense leads you can get. I spent $3,000 on that and converted into $12,000 the following month because there was a huge demand for that. It started getting advertised. So from 2018 until about 21, I was running a mixture of mortgage protection, final expense, and I did a lot of EverQuote. For those of you guys who know what EverQuote leads were, I ran a lot of EverQuote. They're an internet-based lead, which at one point we as FFL had an exclusivity with 33% discount, which then went away because then it became shared. I did a lot of those things. But I always kept, this is what my strategy, Mike, and I don't want to hold up too much longer, but my strategy was always this. My mailers, my mortgage mailers were always automated every week, no exception. My final expense, I would invest as needed, meaning if I didn't have enough leads coming in that week, I'm going to go in and dive in and spend another $800 to $1,000 on final expense leads because I know they're real time and they can come in within 24 to 48 hours. So I could increase my workflow. And then if I needed anything else, I would turn on my campaign through the internet leads and get additional leads so I can be overloaded with leads. At one point, Mike, I was lead rich to the point where I'm like, where do I start on Monday? Because I had like a stack of leads all printed out on my desk. I'm like,
this is not in the world to have.
It's the best problem ever. A lot of you guys are like, I'm gonna buy 40 leads. I'm gonna hang on to them. Like, sorry, but you're never gonna make any real money. You
That's a
gotta
funny
like
voice. Who
triple
does
that. Yeah, you gotta triple
Who
that.
does his voice? Good stuff, man. Dean, I appreciate it. That was huge. Thank you for sharing how you, write so much annuity business. That is definitely a game changer. It can turn things around very, very quickly for people. So do what Dean did. Start out, master final expense, learn final expense, and add mortgage protection, because there's all these different levels. And if you haven't done the first thing first, which is crush final expense, you're not able to then get to mortgage protection, get to IULs, and then absolutely kill annuities. So let's get through this thing quicker, get this final expense stuff rolling, get money coming in, and let's start taking things to the next level. Everyone have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.